Yesterday I did a beauty creative with a lovely team, and I can't wait to share some of the behind the scenes from it, talk to you about lighting, and this one was very collaborative, so I just wanted to kind of talk you through our thought process, explain, some of the decision making that we kind of went through. And yeah, I thought that could be helpful, so look out for that. But while I was looking through my images, I realized that some of you have asked me about my editing process, and I haven't really talked about it in a while because, to be honest, like us as photographers, I feel like we don't really change up our editing process all that much. I feel like once you kind of stick to something that works, there's really no need until something comes along that doesn't compromise on quality, but also saves you time. And that's where today's sponsor, Reblum, comes in. I wanted to go straight into why we're here today. I actually have not finalized how I want for these images to look like. So take this as like a work in progress type of thing. But I wanted to show you basically what changed in my process, and that's going to be the new software that I'm using. Now, looking at this particular image, I have a saturation down just a tad, contrast up just a little bit by bringing the levels up to 3 or 4, played with the color balance wheels just a little bit. This is very much still work in progress. I can show you the before and after and removed a little bit of the vignetting because that's just something that I do on most images. I don't really love dark corners, not a rule or anything like that. That's just my own preference. And for this one, I actually brought the clarity down to -10 just because we were going for that sort of like glowy look. And I always remove the sharpening. I think by default it's usually around 180. And so I bring it to 0 and I normally add a little bit of grain. I would say fine grain is my most used. And if I want a little bit more, then I'll go to this one and adjust the impact depending on how I want the image to look like. I am just gonna zoom in so you can see. So this would be with nothing and this would be with 40 that I had it at before and after. Now, the reason why we're all here today is I wanted to show you how I actually prep the skin in a way before I bring it into Photoshop. And I'm gonna start with this image and I'll go to edit with, and I go to Reblum. I click on that. It asks me to put in all of these things, press edit variants, and now we are in Reblum. So it is by default set to natural. So let me do a quick before and after. So this is before and this is after. I'm just gonna zoom in so you can see the skin clearly. This is before and this is after. So as you can see, this just removes some of these darker areas that really would have to be fixed in Photoshop, some dodging and burning. So this just saves me time to not have to do as much of it. And the other slider, which says texture, I leave it off because I personally love seeing texture on the skin. If you bring this one up, it sort of doesn't remove the texture, but it sort of smooths it out a little bit more. And for me personally, I love seeing texture on the skin, so I leave it off, but that's your personal choice. And now if I go to preset, I always leave it on high quality because what that means is that if you have, let's say, a full body image and you have face skin and body skin, it will do both of those. So I just leave it on that. And yeah, as you can see, there's another option here that says fashion. Once you apply it, it just basically gives you a little bit more of an effect. So if I do before and after, as you can see, like the skin looks a bit more glossy. For me personally, that is not the look that I would want to use because it's just a little bit too much. But again, that's just my personal opinion. I'm just gonna do one more before and after. I prefer a little bit more of a natural look, so I go back to natural. And if I go, before and after, as you can see, it's there, but it's a little bit more subtle, which I love. So I'm gonna press OK. And now in Capture One, I'm gonna have my original image, and then underneath that, I will have the edited one. So this is the original, and this is the edited one. Now I'm gonna quickly show you how this other image would compare to the other one as well, because it also has some of the areas that could use a little bit of editing. So let me right click and then go to edit and click on Reblum. Same exact settings, and I'm just gonna open it in Reblum. So as you can see, it stays on the same settings. And let me just zoom in just a tad bit more. And if I go to 100, this is how it would look. And this is where I usually like to keep mine at. And let me do before and after. Before and after. So I feel like all of these areas that have just a little bit of darker areas, darker shadows, it just smooths it out so nicely without it looking too fake or too much. And then let me show you what I meant about the texture slider, because I feel like on this one I might be able to show you a bit better. So if you look at this specific area, if I go with my texture slider all the way up, it sort of smoothens it out, which is not a bad look, but for me personally, I like to see the texture. So that's why I leave it out, but I just wanted to show you exactly what it does. So I'm gonna zoom this out, show you one more time, and then press OK. And now I'm back in Capture One. So this is my original image, and this is my edited image. This is my original, and this is edited. Now, the reason why I brought these other two images into this folder is because sometimes it's good to see these tools working on all these different lighting settings and stuff like that. So I wanted to show you this one. It has a bit more of a harder light on the model, so I wanted to show you how that would look. And then I'll show you this one, which has a bit more of a softer lighting, but yeah, just Ecom. So another good way how to use this software, because with Ecom a lot of the times you don't have time or resources to edit each image. So I wanted to show you that you can also batch edit these. You don't have to go one by one. So let me go to edit with and Reblum, and I'm gonna be able to open both of these up. So I'm just gonna zoom into the face again, just so you can see. And if I do before and after, some of these areas are getting a nice little lift. I think for this one I could go to 100 because it has a little bit more of those sort of like darker areas that need fixing. But yeah, it really just depends on an image. And if I do the texture slider, let me zoom in a bit more, it just kind of smoothens the texture. I personally still gonna leave it out even for this image, because I mostly just care about the darker areas to be kind of lifted up to help me with editing in Photoshop. But yeah, I want to leave the texture intact. And I'm gonna go to the other image. It's gonna load, and then I'm gonna zoom into her face as well, and then do this before, after. Very subtle, very nice. I think I would go somewhere here. Very beautiful. Like if you look at the shadows here and under the eye, I think it's like a very subtle, beautiful little cleanup of the face and skin, and that's great. And so now if I press OK, both of these images are gonna get processed. Then it's gonna bring me back to Capture One. Another way to use this program is to just use it as a standalone, because it has its own app. Upload an image that you want to edit and use it that way. One other option that I haven't tried just yet, because I normally shoot tethered to Capture One, and that's how I usually do it, color grade and do all these things here, get it into Reblum and then Photoshop. But if you don't use Capture One or Lightroom, you can just open your image up in Photoshop, then go to Filter, Reblum, Reblum Retouch, and it brings you back to that exact same window. Perfect. I'm gonna press OK, and then here you go. And then you work from here. So as you can see, very easy. So this program works entirely offline. You don't need to be connected to internet or anything like that, which makes it even easier to use it. And I have been using it for all of my client and creative photo shoots because it's easy, it's great quality, and it saves me time. So download Reblum for a free trial and get 20% off of all plans. This is going to be the first link in the description box down below. And as always, you know this, if I wouldn't be using it myself, I wouldn't be suggesting for you to get it and spend your hard-earned money. So yeah, that's it for me today. Peace out.